Could the city of Denton make history? We'll explain.
Sidewalks in the square will be under construction later this year.
And how to prepare for tomorrow's elections.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV Nightly News.
Thanks for joining us on ntTV Nightly News. I'm Nathan Mayer.
And I'm Michelle Brooks. The UN Secretary General says enough is enough when talking about Russia's attack on Ukraine. CNN's Emily Schmidt has the latest from the front lines.
It took this Ukrainian disaster to spark a world diplomacy not seen for 40 years.
The fighting in Ukraine must stop.
The UN General Assembly held an emergency meeting for the first time since 1982, condemning Russia's attacks and supporting Ukraine's sovereignty, calling for peace.
For the first time since the United Nations was born, there is a full-fledged war in the center of Europe.
War images emerged from all over the country. Attacks that appeared to be on a section of Kharkiv. Outside Kyiv, signs of losses for Russia. Ukrainians fighting, inspired by their president's rallying calls.
He is our president, he is our leader, he is leader of the armed forces of Ukraine.
More fallout. Moscow's stock exchange closed Monday when economic sanctions caused the ruble to lose nearly a third of its value. Russia closed its airspace to airlines from 36 countries, and Ukraine and Russia held talks in Belarus amid fears troops from Belarus could support Russia. So much remarkable movement, including this. The UN now estimates more than 500,000 people have fled Ukraine, seeking safety, with their homeland very much still in danger. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
The impact of this fighting has widespread impact. We'll have more later in the newscast.
Well, Michelle, I know it was warm when I got into the studio today, but I kind of feel like it's going to be cold when we leave.
Well, after the past 2 weeks, I wouldn't be surprised if it was snowing when we leave here. Let's go to our weather anchor, Michaela Goose, to see just how much we might need to bundle up when we leave here. Michaela?
Well, one thing I can promise is it's not going to be snowing when you leave, but it is going to get a little chillier later on into the night. But for right now, it's going to be a good 66 with that 3-mile-an-hour wind speed. Moving into tonight's weather conditions, as you can see, it's going to cool down just a little bit. 51 degrees actual temp, 48 for that actual feel temp. That's going to get a little bit chilly. Make sure you're bundling up tonight as you are out and about. Moving into tomorrow, give you a sneak peek. It's going to be 52 degrees, 6-mile-an-hour wind speed, but it is going to be partially sunny, so there is still a chance for your plans to work. I will have a more detailed, in-depth weather forecast for you later on in the newscast, but for right now, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Michaela. With the weather changing this week, the Denton City Council might be changing as well. In fact, they might just be breaking ground. ntTV's Hannah Gonzalez has the story.
Could Denton be seeing a new city manager? Sarah Hensley, who currently serves as Denton's interim city manager, has since applied to take on the role full-time.
Our full-time city manager, Todd Heilman, he left last February, early March, and so she came in and took over as the interim over that period of time.
But what exactly are the roles of a city manager?
The city manager serves as a chief executive officer for the city. The city has about 1,600 employees, and they're at the top of the organizational chart. They hire all of the directors, the assistant city managers, and make sure that the operations of the city are going as smoothly as possible.
This position is directly hired and appointed by the city council, and they take great consideration when selecting their candidate.
The city of Denton is a full-service city, meaning we do our own garbage and recycling collection. We do all of our water, wastewater, our electricity. So it's a really big organization. The city council is dedicated to getting the best candidate possible to run a full-service city like that.
Denton's interim city manager, Sarah Hensley, is one vote away from being Denton's first ever female city manager. She joined the city in May of 2019 as an assistant city manager and was later elevated to interim city manager in February of 2021. Now, March 1st is a big day for Texas politics, right, Michelle?
That's right, Nathan, and our reporter Chanel Young has all you need to know. Chanel?
Tomorrow is the big day. If you're a registered voter but you didn't get to participate in early voting, then go ahead and cash in your ballot in the Texas primary election on Tuesday. But before you do, be sure to go on Denton County's website to see your polling location depending on the primary you vote for. These locations open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And there is a voter ID requirement like a valid voter registration certificate, a birth certificate, driver's license, or personal ID. With that in mind, go ahead and prepare to vote on the elections for March 1st. And speaking of elections, be sure not to miss ntTV's nightly election show tomorrow at 7 p.m. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Chanel. With tomorrow being that big day in the race for governor, there are a lot of factors that go into a successful running. One of those factors is a successful ad campaign. I had the chance to speak with a professor here at UNT on the subject of ad campaigns in the race. Take a look. When it comes to running for office, there are a few different strategies involved, one of which being advertisements. Ad campaigns play a major role in running for office and account for a large portion of a campaign's funds, but each ad has a different goal.
Campaign ads, especially in a primary, are going to focus on either one of two types. One would be sort of the positive message, what the candidate stands for. The other set of ads would be sort of your negative ads, where candidates criticize their opponent and hope that voters decide to vote for them instead of their opponent.
Looking toward the primary race on March 1st, candidates all have goals in mind of where to promote their objectives to earn a vote and to claim the spot.
Campaigns are wise to use all available resources. So they're, targeting Twitter and Facebook, so the typical social media platforms. They're targeting television and radio, and of course, campaign stops in Denton and elsewhere in the vicinity of where they need to be elected.
The goal for these candidates isn't just to promote themselves, but to also increase voter turnout.
One of the major benefits to campaign advertisements, particularly on television, but elsewhere as well, is to try to inform voters. Particularly in primaries where turnout is low, one of the biggest impediments is voter turnout. So a lot of these informative ads give some voters something to latch onto, something that's important to them, giving them some reason to turn out to vote.
Between the attention of the media, rallying throughout the state, and the running of campaign ads, we will soon see if it was enough for candidates to win in the primary. We'll find out more tomorrow night. Be sure to catch our coverage here on North Texas Television at 7.
When we come back, we'll tell you how the war between Russia and Ukraine has effects way outside its borders.
And what the next Denton construction project will include. Stay with us.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Let's get started. This is a motor vehicle. This is the blinker mechanism. To use it, push it up for the right blinker and down to go left. You're welcome. It was easy.
It was a really good movie.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, so we have to watch the next one before next class, right?
We do?
I think so, but it's not on Netflix and it's not on Hulu, so...
Man, I don't want to pay for that.
So what do we do?
You think there's a place we could go to get the movie?
I'm not sure, maybe?
Oh, there's a place to get the movie.
Oh?
Really?
Yeah, it's right here on campus. Come on, I'll show you.
Hey, listen to my flow to save some H2O. This my water rhyme, and this is how it goes. First, turn off the sink and take some time to think. When you waste water, our supply shrinks. When you take a shower, not more than an hour. Shoot for 10 minutes and save water power. Use a reusable bottle, smart like Aristotle. Ditch all the plastic and be a role model. And that was my H2O flow. Please remember how it goes, because if you don't, Earth will go, oh no!
Over the past few years, school gun threats have increased throughout the country. And here in North Texas, one Denton school was affected just recently. ntTV's Christine Guevara is out live at the school with the story.
That's right, Michelle. 18-year-old Marquez Reed, who was a student here at Fred Moore High School, was arrested last Friday afternoon. Now, one of his family members reported to the school administration that he was potentially carrying a firearm in his backpack. Staff quickly located the weapon, contacted Denton Police Department, who then detained Reed. He was arrested for unlawfully carrying a weapon that is prohibited in certain places. And the student said in an interview he had no intention of harming anyone and no threats were made toward the school or another student. Reed is currently in the City of Denton jail with no bail set just yet. The Denton Police Department and Denton ISD take these potential threats very seriously and are committed to the safety of the students and staff. Reporting for ntTV News, I'm Christine Guevara.
Thanks, Christine. Earlier in the newscast, we gave you an update on the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, but the impact of this invasion goes far beyond the borders of one country. CNN's Amy Kiley explains.
In Ukraine, the impact of the war is painfully clear. In the U.S., the effects are more subtle. Oil is already up over $100 a barrel, and experts expect the conflict will keep prices high.
Ordinary Americans will be paying a little bit higher at the pump, but frankly, I think that is a sacrifice that we need to pay, because we'll pay far more later if we don't successfully stand up to Putin on this.
As the stock market opens Monday, investors are bracing after a roller coaster last week. Meanwhile, boycotts of Russian-branded alcohol are underway at some stores and bars.
Kind of like how you bounce somebody from a bar that, just isn't getting along with everybody else. So we just decided to dump the Russian vodka for now, and because they weren't playing well with others at the bar.
Other organizations are finding their own ways to distance themselves from Russian President Vladimir Putin and his country.
He and his government are being treated like the pariahs that they are.
But the Ukraine war is affecting more than just U.S. finances and affiliations. It's igniting anger among protesters here and rekindling Cold War-era fear.
Top officials in leading NATO countries have allowed themselves to make aggressive comments about our country. Therefore, I hereby order the Minister of Defense and the Chief of the General Staff to place the Russian Army Deterrence Force on combat alert.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Not only has the Russia and Ukraine conflict affected the U.S., it has reached its way to social media.
Facebook's parent company discovered dozens of fake accounts, groups, and pages which spread pro-Russian views. This move comes alongside a push from hackers who have been trying to compromise accounts of Ukrainian government officials, military leaders, and journalists. The hackers had some success in penetrating Facebook accounts, but Meta says this effort was small and stopped before it could gain momentum. There hasn't been fake activity from pro-Ukrainian groups, but Meta will announce if it occurs.
While the world is focused on the deadly war in Ukraine, there is another potentially deadly issue facing us all: climate change. A new study from the United Nations today says the deadly extreme weather is about to get worse. The result will be global suffering, with the people of the world becoming sicker, hungrier, and poorer. The UN report says if human-caused global warming isn't limited now, the impact of the increasingly extreme weather will be irreversible.
Knowing how our footprint is affecting the environment around us goes far beyond just the weather.
That's right, Michelle. But for now, let's check in with Michaela Goose to see what our weather is going to look like for the week.
Thanks, guys. Well, climate change has definitely had an impact on America as a whole. However, right now we're seeing some pretty typical temperatures for this time of the year. As you can see in the map behind me, this is going to be across North Texas. We're really seeing the same temperatures throughout the entirety. Everyone around in the 60s, ranging from high to lows. Once again, Denton at 66, McKinney at 64. Out there in Paris, Texas, 62. Over here in Stephenville, 67. But it's going to be pretty much the same as we zoom out into our across the state map. Once again, 66, 66, 66. Everything is going to be that's in those 60s. Out here in Shreveport, it's going to be our coldest at 63. But for a little more diversity, let's go ahead and look into our across the week forecast. As you can see, and as I've said before, today about 66, low of 35, partly cloudy Monday and Tuesday. Middle of the week is going to be a lot sunnier with those highs of 75, 77, 73. Those lows are going to be 41 to 59. Saturday, it's going to start to get a little cloudy, and as we go into Sunday with those potential thunderstorms, but it's still going to be relatively warm outside with a 77, giving us a break from that cold front we experienced last week. That is all I have for your full weather forecast. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Michaela. Later this year, when it gets cold again and fewer people are in downtown Denton, Denton will aim for construction on downtown crosswalks. Here is Ebony Kennedy with the full story.
Thanks, Michelle. It was said Thursday by project manager that construction to be brought to the diagonal crosswalk to Denton Square will start later this year. At the start of spring 2020, pedestrians were able to cross all four corners of intersection while drivers wait at the red light. Crosswalks will get pedestrians out of the street quicker and will no longer have to cross at 2 points. Last year, staff estimated crosswalks to be completed by summer this year, but the date has been moved back. If plans work out, the crosswalk will be ready by the second quarter of 2023. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Ebony. Coming up, is vegan food really the move?
And find out if mask mandates in Denton are coming to an end. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Kennedy, the president of Black Film Club, and what I love about BFC is the atmosphere and the members. The family feel that we have in our club is really genuine. What about you, Bree?
My name is Bree. I'm the vice president of Black Film Club, and what I love about Black Film Club is there is a small but close, like, little family. You know, I feel like a lot of times when you go to a PWI, it's hard to find like a Black community that share the same interests in you. So I'm very blessed and grateful to have, you know, found my family.
What I would say I like about Black Film Club is obviously the environment that it sets for everybody. I love the officers. I've been rocking with basically all of them since day one, since freshman year. We all came in here at the same time, all got involved with Black Film Club at the same time. So it's been a nice community to grow with, and then seeing new members come, seeing them get interested, seeing how they like Black film, teaching them what we can teach them before we leave, and giving them the mantle to take over.
Many Americans have switched over to a vegan diet. A majority of those became vegan made their choice for personal beliefs or animal rights.
But recent studies show the health benefits a vegan diet can provide. ntTV's Tristan Van Beem has more on Denton's vegan options in this week's Your Health segment.
Nathan and Michelle. I visited a local vegan restaurant to find out more on how vegan food is prepared and what goes into creating a completely animal product-free meal. Pepita's Vegan Taquiera, located on West Hickory Street in Denton, is a family-owned Tex-Mex style restaurant where, according to them, the food is 100% vegan 100% of the time. They have an assortment of foods from tacos to loaded fries and tres leches. One of their chefs describes how easy it is to find meat substitutions.
It's like 2022. There's going to be like a vegan substitute for like any kind of meat, you know, that basically just looks and smells like the same thing. So It's really just like a lot of research, you know. Just use the internet, like look up meat substitutions and stuff like that, and you can really do anything that you can eat vegan.
After hours of research, Pepitas was able to find the perfect meat substitution for them, which is tofu. It can be frustrating to find the right vegan food to eat in the beginning, so it's important to start out small.
Yeah, I would recommend just starting with small steps, like eating more fruits and vegetables just like on a daily basis. And then, like I said earlier, there's a substitute for everything out there, so you can start with like popular brands like Beyond or Impossible.
Incorporating non-meat protein foods into meals has benefited many people across the nation, including Andrew. He felt vast differences in his health after becoming vegan 7 years ago.
Just like felt like I had more energy in general too. I don't feel like fat after I eat or anything like that, and just overall I feel like it's just helped my like mental state, my mood, everything around there.
How could you possibly not want to try these Pepitas brisket tacos, knowing they benefit your health and taste buds? If you are looking for a vegan option on campus, you have to try Mean Green's Cafe. All the foods you see here are animal-free and available 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. Remember, you are not limited to fruits and vegetables when eating a vegan diet. It is possible to make your favorite dishes that look and taste just like the real thing. You just have to find the right ingredients. Michelle, back to you.
Thanks, Tristan. With COVID being 2 years old, I'd say we're all used to wearing masks by now. But how much longer will these face coverings tag along? Denton City Council is scheduled to discuss dropping the current mask mandate after the CDC adjusted its guidance Friday. Denton's mask mandate requires people to wear masks regardless of vaccination status while indoors. Council members plan to wait for the CDC announcement later in the week to make their final decision about mask requirements. At the start of COVID-19, some Smithsonian museums closed because of staff shortages, but they will be reopening soon. The Anacostia Community Museum will open Thursday, March 10th. The National Postal Museum opens Friday the 11th, and the National Air and Space Museum also opens the 11th. Unfortunately, the Air and Space Museum will not be open for long since they will be closing again on March 28th for renovations until the fall. And if you can't make it to the Smithsonian the weekend of the 10th, I think there's some Mean Green basketball you might be able to catch instead.
Yeah, that's right. I know that our sports anchor, Jalen Jackson, has all the details on how the Mean Green basketball team has secured a spot in the conference tournament and more. Jalen?
Thanks, guys. That's right. The Mean Green not only clinched a spot in the tournament, but also are on the path to break a few records. Find out which records when we come back from the break.
UNT is more than 125 years in the making. To find new solutions, we create a new point of view. We know what's possible when creativity, originality, and independent thought converge. We're ranked a Tier 1 research university. We're home to excellence the size of Texas. Define your future at UNT and soar to new heights.
.400 freestyle relay team closed the CUSA Swimming and Diving Championships out in style on Saturday night with a bronze medal to move the Mean Green from 5th place to 4th place on the team leaderboard. The team, comprised of Shayna McLeod, London Ferris, Brianna Vasquez, and Alvana Walpole, edged out Marshall thanks to a strong third leg from Vasquez, who gave way to Walpole to extend the lead and bring home the bronze in 3 minutes and 25 seconds. The Mean Green finished the meet with 531 points, which marks the second highest point total the team has ever put up at a Conference USA championship, second only to the 2014 meet, which was North Texas's first year in Conference USA. The International Olympic Committee has recommended Russian and Belarusian athletes be banned from all sporting events. The IOC released a statement today saying the ban is an effort to protect the integrity of global sports competitions and for the safety of all the participants. The committee is also pushing other sporting event organizers to follow suit. The IOC says it has withdrawn the Olympic order from Russian President Vladimir Putin. Deputy Prime Minister Dmitry Sheryshenko and Deputy Chief of Staff of the Presidential Executive Office, Dmitry Kozak, have also been stripped of their titles. Being a champion calls for hard work, dedication, and commitment, and these guys have checked all three boxes. The Mean Green men's basketball team have clinched the division and are now Conference USA champions. And if you want to know what that looks like, just take a look at the monitor. This past Saturday, the Mean Green took on Louisiana Tech and won its 14th game in a row, which ties the program record. This game almost came down to the wire. With the game tied 49-49 with less than 4 minutes left, junior guard Tyler Perry converted a pair of free throws and drained a three-pointer with 56 seconds left. The three-pointer was his only field goal of the game. Reuben Jones added 2 free throws with 15 seconds left to ice the game. Perry had 9 points and was 6 of 6 from the free throw line. Jones finished with 7 points and 6 boards. This also marks their 15th conference win, which is also program history. 22 wins is the most UNC has won in a single season in the Grant McCasland era. The Mean Green will conclude their regular season with the trips to UTSA and UTEP next week. That's all I have for sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Jalen. Michelle, I don't know about you, but my midterms have had my brain all out of sorts.
Nathan, my brain's been scrambled since the semester started, but I just heard about the power of pets. A new study shows that having a pet bestie could delay memory loss.
You mean instead of studying my flashcards, I can just, I should hang out with the neighborhood stray?
Well, the study says you've got to be besties with the stray for at least 5 years, so you might need to head to an adoption center instead.
Yeah, I think I'd rather hang out with a cat than study my flashcards anyways.
I think I would too. Thanks for watching ntTV Nightly News.
Join us again tomorrow night at 7 for a special election show here on North Texas Television.
Oh hey, didn't see you there. Let's get started. This and down to go left.